Woo-hoo-hoo. And we're live once again on another Tuesday. And I have Kevin D. Turner in the house today. And we're talking about an awesome topic. And it is skills, the cure for invisibility. But before we get stuck in, Kevin, can you please just go ahead and introduce yourself, let people know who you are and what you do, and we'll get chatting.
Absolutely. I'm Kevin Turner, and I'm very, very happy to be here, by the way. Gillian, you run such a great show. Always excited to join in. I think it's like my 37th time. No, just kidding. But I love being here because we always go over really good stuff. And, I'm passionate about LinkedIn and I love to share that. And, that's kind of what I do on the side. What I do to pay the bills is all about organizational and personal branding. And I say elimination of organizational and personal blanding, because that's really what we see out there. And that's what I do. But LinkedIn is just one of these things that is such an incredible platform for connectivity, for collaboration, for networking, for finding the opportunity, for having the opportunity to find you. That's why we're all here. And that's where skills are really coming into play. So that's why I'm excited about today.
I love it. I love it. And I can attest to your genius when it comes to optimizing your LinkedIn profile and being more foundable, because I actually once won a consult with you and it was just like leveled up what I had on my profile to help make me less invisible. And skills was a big part of that
Yeah.
consult. And I remember that it also really helped me with getting the collaborative articles, top voice, and how
Mhm.
skills fits into all of that. So let's just kick it off, Kevin, and talk about skills. So where exactly you can use skills so many different places on your profile. So let's just kind of get that out of the, elephant out of the room first. Where are skills and then how best we use these?
Well, I mean, you could sprinkle them in your about section. You've got a top five, like what should we be known for? That was one of the areas that got you kind of found in the collaborative article process. So, really, really high SEO value internally within LinkedIn. So, recruiters and some of the things LinkedIn's doing, they're really using those top five. From there, you go into assigning skills to experiences. Now, what's kind of unique about assigning skills to experiences is it gives years of a skill, right?
Mm.
So you've got video. If you had that on three different jobs and each job was 5 years apiece, that's 15 years of video skills. So they're using
Mm.
it as a way to say, how long have you had it? Because if I just said video, right, I could have that for a week, you know. But now I know because I can assign it to these positions. Now we can also assign it to our education. So if it's a skill that we picked up or honed in
Mm.
during our education, licensing, and they've just recently added projects that we can now assign skills to projects. And what's really cool about that, let's say you're moving along and you're doing all these things and you're really not happy with what you're doing, but you do these other things, right? You work for, do some side projects for some organizations, whatever it is, and you're using this new skill that you love. Well, you can't really attach it to the job,
Mm.
but you can attach it to your projects, which kind of help you in the process of pivoting and getting known for that skill that you really want to focus your career towards. That to me is
Mm.
kind of a cool little component, and that just snuck in this month, and I'm excited about that.
Wow. Wow, that's cool. I did not know that. So it's just like I love having you come on because it's just like I'm sitting here with pad and paper, but afterwards I just go back and replay the whole recording because I own it. So, but everybody
Good
else
to
can
know.
too.
It's good to know a few LinkedIn geeks.
It is.
They're good
It
people.
is. So, okay, so skills is kind of like keywords,
Mhm.
it's the SEO of your basically you're optimizing your profile to be found in search engines. And you've often said that remember LinkedIn is a database and an inventory, and we're the products,
Yeah,
right? We're the
and we're
products in
now at
that.
what, 800, pardon me, 950 million was the last chart they put out on the Microsoft reports. pretty incredible. Pretty soon we will be a billion.
Wow.
And, you don't want to be one in a billion, right? You want
Mm,
number one in a billion for what you do. And what I think is neat about, skills is they are keywords, but they're hard coded into the
mm,
database. And that's the big difference between picking any keyword you want and picking the ones that are hard coded, because recruiters who pay lots of money to use talent solutions, right? Um, and Sales Navigator, who also use it, they have those filters, skill filters that drop down when they're looking for someone, and they can select those. Those are hard coded in. If you're using the same ones within your profile, now you've got a huge advantage in findability. And
mm,
that most people don't understand. Anytime you're adding a skill, right? As you're typing it in, type slowly, and
mm,
you'll get this drop down box, and it will tell you how you should be spelling out that skill, right? If it might not be P&L, it might be profit and loss. Brackets P&L is what they're using within the filter. That's the hard code. I'm just making that up. That's the one you want to use, because if you use your own, then nobody will probably find you, and you're kind of wasting that skill in a sense. So I think that's kind of neat that it's actually hard coded into the database to make things findable. And to me,
wow.
when we don't embrace that is when we don't kind of get found.
Right, right. So if you're like a coach, then you probably want to be that's a little broad. So you might want to
Mhm.
go through and find out, are you a communications coach? And you figure out, is that the right term or is it something else? So it's
Yeah.
like just because it's the same really with doing like SEO for a website or anything. It's like
Mhm.
you have to go with the way that not you think it should be, but the way that the database is going to be finding you. So it's
Yeah. I
really
always say market
important.
value, right?
Yes.
Find the
Yes.
market value terms and test those and see if they appear in that drop down. And that's what you want to select.
So how do people, like if you're not even sure where to start with
Mhm.
what skills to apply, because you're like, okay, should I put Microsoft Word? Like is that a skill? And it's just like, not a very good one. So how do people kind of step back? Do they go look at other people's profiles and it's like, what's he using? Like what do you
And
suggest?
there's so many of us on LinkedIn. We're all there for different reasons. We're there at different expertise levels, right? So Microsoft Word might be the perfect skill for somebody. It's probably not for me, because I know I only get 50, right? And 50 sounds like a lot, but when you really start breaking down what you do every day and what you want to do and what you can do, 50 is going to run out really quickly, right?
Mm,
So I wouldn't use Word as one of my 50. I'm just going to assume somebody will assume that already, that I have that skill, right? But depending on who you are and what you're doing and where you want to go, some of the skills are going to be different. Now, one of the best places, there's actually three really cool ones, but one of the best places is Career Explorer on
mhm,
LinkedIn. Believe it or not, it has been available for 13 years, and so few. It's like a small percentage of people know it's on LinkedIn, but what it does is it looks at your profile, everything you've got on your profile, right? And it allows you to enter in a market where you are. It allows you to enter in a title target, what you want to do next, right? Or even what you're doing now. And it's going to assess and say, here's the skills that out of our database of almost a billion people that are doing that title or getting ready to do that, promoted to that title, promoted from that title, these are the skills they had.
mm,
So you ought to look at these, right? And so, you want to take that, copy it, write it down, whatever you want to do, and look at those skills. Then it's also going to tell you what skills it sees on your profile, right?
mm,
That might be in that list. And even ones it sees on your profile that are not in that list. So then, okay, I might have to do a little edit work on my profile, get some of the ones out that don't really move me forward, add some of the ones in that I know I have, but it's not seeing them, right? And so it's a really great way to kind of blend that through. And it will even tell you the skills you need to work on
Mhm.
in the process. And some of that is based on industry, location, and position. So if you're coming from a director of sales, you're going into VP of sales or VP of business development, whatever that is, they can actually tell based on that experience, based on this huge database, you might have a skill, but you might have to develop it further. Right. And so they'll actually make those suggestions. And I think that's kind of a neat thing to know that that is part of that process. It will also, through those skills, identify positions similar to the one you picked, you might not have thought about, and then it will show you how often people made that transition. So if they're moving in, pivoting
Mm.
in, it'll say that's 85% likely, that's 10% likely, right? Or that's really popular, that's unpopular, but it will give you a little bit of guidance in there. So if you're looking to move forward or you're just looking to set up your skills to help you go forward, right? Because a lot of people will put all the skills they've had, right? I got cobalt coding. I'm not in my skills list because I'll never use it again unless I work for the government, right? Because they still use dead languages. Um, so I'm not going to have it in there. So it's not everything you've always had. It's things that you have that you're developing, but it's things that move you forward to where you want to go. Think about them in the sense of they should get you to that goal. That's what Career Explorer does really well doing. I can tell you what that, or actually, you know what I'll do? I'm going to put it in
You have a video, I think.
comments if I can.
Yeah, so
Let's see if
so
I can. I don't know if I'm that
well,
talented. I
just
don't know if
add
I
it
can.
afterwards. So just add it
We'll
afterwards,
add it
but
in afterwards.
I know that you have some YouTubes on you have YouTubes on skills, you have YouTubes on Career Explorer, so
Absolutely.
we'll get those in afterwards because this is key. This is
And it is
key.
really easy to kind of walk through them. If you watch it, it makes more sense
Right.
than if you try to understand the UX because it's a little clunky in that
Yep.
sense. And
Yep.
it's sitting on their GitHub. So they never really promoted it, but it's an incredible tool and it's there to use. You just got to know where it is.
Wow, wow, I
Yeah.
love that, I love that. So, I honed in on something that you said about, you could have a skill, like I had a skill for SEO because at one time, I believe it or not, I actually did SEO work,
Mhm.
but that was a skill and I was endorsed for that. A lot of people endorsed me for that because that was part of my career journey, but it is not now.
Mhm.
And so I killed my darlings because I looked at my 50 and I just went, you know what? I don't want to be known for this. It doesn't help me. And if I only have a pool of 50, I let it go, even though I had
Yeah.
endorsements. Was I right or wrong to do that?
If it doesn't move you forward, if I had Cobalt on there and I had 500 people who said I could do Cobalt, what would it do for me? It made me feel nice, right? I smiled when I saw it, like, that's kind of cool. It does me nothing to move me forward. Nobody's going to look for that. So if it isn't what you want to do or it isn't what you're going to do going forward, it's time to retire it. You know,
Okay.
take a snap, right? Make a PDF out of all the people who said you had it. So if you ever wanted to rebuild it, you could, right? That's always a nice thing. And that kind of takes the worry away of I'm deleting it because people put a little into it as well. So,
Yep.
and to me, it's fascinating this whole concept of we can say we have a skill, right? And I could do that and I could be lying. Right? I could just say I have it. I'm a rocket scientist. I can design rocket engines, right? I could put that on my skills. I could probably find some drop down box that would have a skill set for rocket engineering, right? I could put it in there. But everybody else who looks at that goes, Kevin's not a rocket engineer.
Mm,
I'm not going to endorse him, right?
mm,
So the endorsement of your skill is the social proof, right?
mm,
So if you say you have it, that means something. But if other people say you have it, that means a little more, makes it more believable. And then if people who are highly endorsed for that same skill say you have it, that's like a multiplier. That's like
mm,
10x, right? And so you want to start to cultivate endorsements. And the easiest way to do that is to give them.
mm,
If you give endorsements, if you want to build up your leadership, right? Thought leadership, whatever it is, whatever that skill is, if you go out and you give that to people you know have it, more than likely they'll look at that. And I find for me, it's about 85% will come back, usually give me the same or something else, right? That I also appreciate. So, you want to start cultivating it. I always tell people you can have a skills party, right? That basically means if you know 100 people on LinkedIn and you know them well enough, right? And they know you well enough that they could come to your profile and give you every skill they know you have. And you wouldn't be offended if they didn't give you one that they didn't know, right? And you would do the same for them.
Love
And
that.
that's a skills party, right? It brings all those skills up. One of the minimums LinkedIn looks at in ranking skills is, are you at 99 plus on a skill?
Oh,
That's where it really says they think you've got it, right? Now, to multiply that even further, you can take a skills assessment, usually more towards the tech stuff, right? You could take it on Excel or you could take it on, C++ coding. You can go in there and you can take a test. And if you come out scoring at the top 35% of all who test, LinkedIn kind of certifies that skill for you.
mm.
So that's an even bigger step up. Now, if we go back to LinkedIn as a database, right? We are the product. The more defined we can become as product and more certified maybe we can become as product, the better it is for LinkedIn to offer us up. So I always think about LinkedIn in the sense that 65% of LinkedIn's annual revenue comes from selling members to other members. The better they can define you, the more likely they are to sell you, right? And the more likely they are to sell you and define you, the higher your rankability is within LinkedIn. And
Love it.
so if you've got one customer that does 65% of your multi-billion dollar business, you kind of set everything up around that. So the rest of LinkedIn kind of falls into place, right? It's the dog, the rest is the tail.
I love
Right?
it.
So
I love it.
they're
It
going to follow that. And so once that design is in place and you become that right product, everything else in LinkedIn starts to line up. And that's, I think, one of the simplest concepts to kind of grasp if you are open to it. But once you are and you start working it, it starts to work for you.
That's
So
beautiful.
to me,
That's
that
beautiful.
I love that component of it.
Whew, whew. So let me throw up some comments. So we have our mutual friend in the front row waving and trying to be visible from the front row, Gillian and Kevin. Great to see you.
Who
Namaste.
would
And
that be? I don't even see a picture.
LinkedIn user. LinkedIn user. No,
Oh yeah,
it's
I remember.
Kevin.
He's only 34 times on your show.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And it doesn't get the snacks you get in the green
No,
room.
no, no. We
And
won't
so
talk about
and
that.
he's challenging 37th time. What? So we got Debbie here, happy to be in
Hey,
the audience. We have Jeff again, and we got everybody all just the love in has started in the comments. I love that the
nice.
community badges show up on skills now. Move those
Yes.
skills to the top, folks. Okay, what does he mean by that? Because I feel
Yeah.
like I've kind of missed something. What does that
If
mean?
you receive a top voice for your skill, move that up into the top 3 places, which has now actually become the top 2 places in display. They changed that. Maybe they'll change that back. But what it'll do is it'll show the little light bulb next to your skill and it'll say top voice for that skill. So it just kind of a
Ooh.
special highlight of you getting top voice for that skill. But you have to move it up because if you don't, it doesn't show it below.
So does it
Now,
have to be in, so just to clarify, does that need to be moved up in the top 2 or?
yes, top 2 or top 3, depending on what version of LinkedIn you have.
Oh,
But you move them up and then it will show that you have that badge.
okay. Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
That's very cool. I did not even know that. It's
absolutely.
just so hard to stay up, up to date with these things. And to be honest with you, it took me a while before I even knew you could reorder your skills. Like it was like I did all my skills and the thing is order is important. and we
Mhm.
set the order by just dragging them around. But the order is important because if you're having a skills party, if somebody comes to your profile, be honest. Most people just want to go and look at the top
Yeah.
ones. They're not going to go through 50, right?
We're naturally lazy, right? Hey, it's
Yes.
Jillian. I'll give her top 3 or her top 2, and so if you keep rotating those out, you're getting me to do all 50,
Yeah.
right?
So it's like if
Yeah.
you have certain skills that you go, I think I want a little bit more love for this one because it's sad, it's lonely,
Mhm.
it needs some upping. Move that up before especially if you're gonna do a skills party. How do you even do a skills party, Kevin? What is the skill? Like, do you like call people and it's
I
like,
mean,
okay,
you
on
could do it as simple as send them a message, right? You could do a
okay.
group DM if you wanted to. Put
Oh,
everybody in the group,
nice.
say, "Hey, let's do this. If you're all in, let's get after it.
Oh,
Only give the skills you know they have. Don't feel like you have to do it because you don't. But if you want to participate, here's a good group of people. Let's check everybody out and give skills." It's honest because you're guiding them in the right way to do it, right?
right.
And don't embarrass yourself. If you don't have nuclear physics, don't go give somebody nuclear physics, right? Because it looks kind of foolish.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, make sure you're endorsing things that you understand as well.
Right, right. Okay, that's good. That's good. And then of course, reviews are nice too. Recommendations and reviews
Absolutely.
are good too,
Absolutely.
but they take more time, and honest, like it's
Mhm.
and in my opinion, skill endorsements is like, especially if you know of anybody who is job hunting, this
Oh, yeah.
is like the greatest gift you could give somebody is to just quickly go through and help
Mhm.
them by looking and honestly which are the skills you can endorse them for. That real I
Yeah.
it makes people feel so good too.
And you might even notice skills that they should have on there that they didn't list.
Oh,
Because sometimes we get blurry eyed when we look at our own self, but somebody else can say, hey, you're also an incredible team manager, and you don't even have
right.
team management in there. You need to get that into your skills. So sometimes, if you're looking at friends profiles, you might identify things that they didn't think about as important to get into that skill.
I
So
love that. I
yeah.
love that. I love that. We have Tina with us today over in Belgium, and she is cooking up dinner. And she is an example of a recruiter who she uses LinkedIn Recruiter. And I'm sure you guys have talked about this as a topic before. That this is who we're doing this for.
Oh yeah.
Is for
Tina
the
and I have
recruiters.
tested things back and forth to see, does this work? Is
Mm,
it really what it seems to be? And it is. It
mhm.
is the hard coded process to sort everything.
Right, right.
Oh,
And just to clarify too, it's not just for job seekers. Like, if
no.
you want to be found for your business, so business owners too, if you want to be found,
Mhm.
this gives you visibility, like amazing, amazing. So, oh dear, speaking of LinkedIn user, but it's okay. It's okay. Everybody does their own thing. But 65% of LinkedIn revenue comes from selling members to other members. Wow.
Absolutely.
So what
We
can
are
you
the
just
product.
can you so clarify that? So what are they selling? What's LinkedIn selling? Just because there are newbies here that might not know all the products that LinkedIn has.
Well, and I think you go back to the basic concept of LinkedIn. It is based on 6 degrees of separation, right? Within 6 handshakes, you can meet anybody in the world. That's why LinkedIn cuts you off at 3.
Mm,
So they can sell you the other 3 or sell the other 3 you. Basically, that's what they're doing. So, the 2 biggest tools that they have, one is Talent Solutions, which focuses on recruiters, right?
okay.
People trying to find the right people. Well, if they do that as a regular account, they can only go to the third connection. When they pay for Recruiter, any of the versions of Recruiter, they get access to all members.
Mm,
So instead of, my reach, when I do my reach, you can do a Boolean string to get your reach. I can get about 250 million people up to my third level, but I can't get everybody. So if I'm
mm,
looking for somebody really particular, I want to pay for that service. The other one is business solutions, and that's mostly around Sales Navigator. So that's companies who are looking to sell to other companies or to other individuals within companies. and they're using kind of the same process, titles, companies that might throw in skills in that sense. But those are two of the bigger components where you're selling members to members.
Okay. Okay. And then thank you for that. And then just to follow up, because I did some research before our show today and I went to your YouTube channel and I was looking at your videos, and I love your YouTube channel, by the way.
Thank you.
And one of your videos talked about LinkedIn's suggested skills for you, which is, I believe, a premium feature. So can you just briefly tell us about that? Because this might be something where there seems to be more and more cool things coming out with premium. I'm a freebie. I'm on the free plan, but
Mhm.
maybe this is something that could be of value to people. So could you just talk
Absolutely.
about that
Well,
feature?
and yes, that is a premium feature, but there is a backdoor if you're not premium to get there, right? So if you go onto your profile and you look at build a resume, right, as one of your options under more, if you click on that build a resume and you upload a resume or you use it, create from profile, what it's going to do is it's going to use that same system. And if you're a free account, freemium, right, they will give you up to 10 of the core skills, and they'll give you, I think, 5 of the suggested. If you're
Ooh,
premium, they might give you 15 to 20 of the core skills, and they give you almost double in the suggested. To me, because it's free, right? Because that's where a lot of people are, that's really good because those are the core ones.
wow.
So you can use it that way. You don't have to have premium to get access to it. But of course, they're going to make a value to pay for premium for those who can to get a little extra. But I think what is delivered in that free version is really what you need. The other
Mhm.
stuff I think is just additional, maybe icing on the cake, but you need at least the cake. And that's how you're going to get
Wow.
it.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
that's
I
very
love that
powerful.
tool.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Okay. Love that. Love that. Okay, let's see who else we have here. We have Marcia. She made it. Woo, woo. Half and half replay, half live, which is always great. We have Ryan with us. Hi, Jillian and Kevin. Looking forward to working with Kevin soon or turning me into a better LinkedIn product. I love
All
that. I
right.
love that. And you are working with the man. You are working with the man. And Kevin, I think of like your analogy in one of your videos. You talked about us like if LinkedIn was a grocery store, we
Yeah.
want to be the product that's like not dusty in the back shelf. Nobody
Yeah.
ever
You
sees.
want
We
to
want to
fit into
not
those categories, right?
and we want to get on the end cap.
Yeah.
It's like we want to be really, really seen. And so, Ryan, good choice, good choice. We got Jeff again. Okay, he's helping people always with the
Nice.
visibility, which is nice, which is nice. And okay, that's weird. The comments disappeared. Always a fun thing when we're live. So, Kevin,
As long
um,
as we don't disappear,
no, we
because then
don't
there's going to be all
disappear.
sorts of comments.
So, when you put so here's I'm going to just basically tap into your brain for a second. We know we should use the full 50, correct? So take advantage of that. Like LinkedIn gives us 50 skills. There's no harm in using all 50,
No.
rank them, use ones that are relevant and reorder them. And now we know we're aiming for 99 to get onto like LinkedIn's,
Kind of on
really
the radar, right?
yeah,
Yep.
on the cream of the crop list. But what about putting skills in our jobs, in our past experiences? How many cuz I started to do that and then it was just like there were more skills than job description and I went what 3? Like what, I always think 3 is a magic number, but how many should we do?
Well, it was interesting because originally they tried to suggest a throttling, right? They suggested no more than 5. Well, if you give somebody all you can eat buffet, they're gonna eat more than 5, right? And if you think about it, what it's really doing is it's assigning skills to experience, then to years of experience, right? So to me, it might not look pretty, And
Mm,
that's one of the reasons they now only show the first couple lines and you have to hit a see more to see all of them, right?
okay.
I'd say go for it, right? Assign as many as you can because all it is a visual, in that sense of what people see, but it is really impacting the database on what they perceive as years of experience, in that skill itself. So I would say assign, don't worry about the numbers in there, but also assign in order of importance, right?
Okay.
So, you really want to get your top ones. So they're in that first couple of lines. As the other ones go down, that's when you probably start to decide, maybe I don't need any more, right? As they diminish, but put the ones that are really important that have the greatest visual impact, put those at the beginning so that when
Okay.
I'm looking at that, I see, like team leadership or whatever that is that, is important to you. Make sure they're at the beginning and not in the middle or the end of that big dump of information.
Okay. And should we change it up so that, like, maybe on some experiences we're kind of doing different skills so there's
I
a
would
little
say
bit of
assign it
variety?
appropriately,
Okay.
right? Because there are positions that use different skills. There
Okay.
were some of your positions use the same skills all the time. So you're going to have a little bit of a mix in there.
I see. I
Yeah.
see. Okay. Love it. Love it. Well, man, oh man, this has been like an awesome live. I think we could talk about this forever. There is so much here. There's so much here. So afterwards, we will put the links to your YouTube videos because I think they're just stellar. And just really go check out Kevin's entire YouTube channel.
I
It's
appreciate
rocking.
that.
It keeps rocking LinkedIn. So it's a
And that's an
pretty
easy way to find it, right? Either Kevin
yes.
D. Turner or keep rocking LinkedIn, type it in YouTube and you've got it. It's right there.
I love it.
And
I love it.
I do appreciate everybody who subscribes and comments
Okay.
and all that good stuff. And hopefully one day it will grow, and then I can spend more time on it. So I
That's
do
right.
enjoy
That's right. That's right. And I gotta go check out the Kevin merch too. So that's
it.
kinda cool too. So, okay. So before we close out, can you just kind of leave us with some final words of wisdom, Kevin?
Make sure you are implementing skills, that you're assigning skills that are making you findable. Take those same skills and write them into your content and context, right? Because if they're just skills, they're still going to look for that read, right? That supports it. So make sure you're blending it in there. And that kind of, I think, pulls it all together.
I
So
love it.
that's
I
what I
love it.
would do.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, thank you for being here today, Kevin, and always just being so informative for us on just all these great things to be more visible and stop being that milk carton. That's like you don't want to be disappeared and like,
We're not
"Oh,
there to
you
be
see me."
invisible. We're there to be
No.
found.
Yes, absolutely, exactly. Okay, well, thank you, Kevin, and thank you for everybody who joined us today, and we'll see you all again next week. Okay, bye, everybody.
Thank you.